Thank you. A very warm welcome. Coming up on BBC London. We have more reaction to today's findings from the infected blood scandal inquiry. One victim from Hertfordshire tells us it's justice on an emotional day.
Justice, what we all knew. What we all knew, we're now hearing. And so for me, that's justice.
Also on the programme tonight. Flash flooding and surface water has been described as a major risk to London. Should we become a sponge city, and how? Plus, the weather for enjoying green spaces. We find out how Primrose Hill is taking permanent action to prevent antisocial behaviour. And
a prominent church on Piccadilly has had a garden designed for it here at the Chelsea Flower Show, amplifying its incredible work in the community, especially around counselling. And soon we'll all be able to enjoy its beauty and serenity.
hello and good evening to you. We start with more reaction to the findings of the public inquiry into what's been described as the biggest treatment disaster in NHS history, the infected blood scandal. It identified a catalogue of failures by the NHS and successive governments. Around 30,000 people in the UK were infected with HIV and hepatitis C after receiving contaminated blood products in the 70s and 80s, many here in London. One of them, Nicola Jones from Hertfordshire, told us it's justice on an emotional day. Guy Lynn has been following her journey for answers.
Nicola and her daughter Kira are travelling into central London to hear the results of the final report into what's been called the worst treatment disaster in NHS history.
I don't actually feel this is real because we've waited so long for justice, which I'm hoping will be delivered today. I feel very emotional.
Nicola is a haemophilia carrier. She got seriously ill after receiving a new treatment called Factor VIII from the mid-1970s onwards. It included blood plasma from thousands of paid donors from high-risk groups such as prisoners and drug users in the USA, which were contaminated with HIV, and for her, hepatitis C, which she was infected with as a young child.
I just went from a normal average child, enjoying life, playing with my friends, out on my bike, horse riding, enjoying school, to a child who took to her bed. I was tired all the time, I suffered skin rashes, I'd bloated and become quite unwell.
She's been ill ever since, and it's also taken a huge toll on her family.
What I can remember from such a young age is my mum just being in bed, not out with me and my dad and my brother. And then whenever we try and have fun, it gets very emotional because I didn't really have her growing up as much. It was just me, my dad and my brother, mum at home, really, because I know she was in so much pain.
The report into the scandal, which left thousands dead, has taken several years to compile. Hundreds of survivors like Nicola were in this huge Westminster Hall to hear the verdict of Sir Brian Langstaff that patients at the time in the 1970s and 80s were exposed to unacceptable risks.
The infections happened because those in authority, doctors, the blood services and successive governments, did not put patient safety first. They lost sight of what was known about the risks of viral infections from blood. Doctor knows best was such a strong belief that health departments did not issue guidance to curb the unsafe use of blood and blood products.
Nicola's only received a small amount of compensation so far, but she, like many other survivors, are awaiting the full detail of what the government will announce now, following the publication of today's historic report, which for her has meant so much.
My reaction is, I guess, justice, what we all knew. What we all knew, we're now hearing. So for me, that's justice, and all we went through, knowing that there was something wrong and that the doctors covered this up. It's sad. That is what's heartbreaking.
All those years.
Guy Lynn, BBC London.
All those years.
Well, let's get more on this from Alpa Patel, who joins me. And Nicola, who we just heard from there, was treated in London. Which hospitals in the capital are mentioned in the report?
The hospitals mentioned in this report include the Royal Free London Hospital, where Nicola was treated, St George's Hospital, Guy's Hospital, also known as Guy's and St Thomas's, and Great Ormond Street Hospital. Now, in the last hour, we've received a response from the Royal Free London Hospital, which was mentioned in Guy's report there. They say a spokesperson for the Royal Free London said, "We recognise that receiving infected blood products at a Royal Free Hospital in the 1970s and 80s had a huge impact on the lives of patients and their families, and we would like to offer our sincere apologies to all those affected." In response to Nicola's story, they said, "We welcome the findings of the infected blood inquiry, and we hope this important work has brought some peace and comfort to patients like Nicola and their families."
And we saw how emotional Nicola Jones was there. This is clearly such a hugely important day for the victims and their families.
Absolutely. This is something that has spanned many decades, and as you and viewers would have seen and heard, this has absolutely devastated families for many, many years. Sir Brian Langstaff, who led the inquiry, has said that the scandal was no accident, he said today, and people who put their trust in doctors and the government were betrayed over many decades, some who never got to see today. The Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has said that this report has shaken our nation to the core and that this is a day of shame for the British state. Now, a compensation scheme will be announced tomorrow and we will be reporting on that. But perhaps I'll leave you with a powerful point made by Brian Langstaff today. He said, "Imagine the difference it would have made if this inquiry had been held 30 years ago." And I think many, many people would agree with that.
Imagine, indeed. Alpa, thanks very much. And just to say, you can see more on that huge story, the infected blood scandal inquiry, the findings and reaction on the BBC website and by using the BBC News app. You can see the addresses on your screen there. Lots more to come this evening, including with Chelsea in full bloom, we check out ideas for smaller London gardens and balconies. Now, we might not want to think about it on sunny days like today, but flash flooding as a result of sudden heavy downpours is likely to become more frequent due to climate change and one of the major risks here in the capital. So what can London do? Should it become a sponge city? Jacob Evans explains what it is and how it would work.
It came up over that wall, came up and up and up and up.
This was the scene 3 years ago. Audio Gold Records in Muswell Hill flooded after a month's worth of rain fell in just an hour.
Hi-fi vintage 1970s chipboard and wood, let alone the electronics, aren't very keen on being subject to water. So quite a lot of stuff was ruined and written off. We've got records in boxes on the floor. Anything that was on the floor here was ruined.
They weren't the only ones flooded that day. More than 1,000 homes, businesses and tube stations were also damaged as heavy rains battered London. And experts warn, in a changing climate, it's only going to get worse.
The Greater London Authority says surface flooding is the main risk facing the capital. In fact, the Met Office found that from October last year to March was the wettest 6-month period in British history. They also found that storms, like in 2021, are going to be 4 times more likely if our greenhouse gas emissions remain high. And as the climate warms, the intensity of rainfall will increase too.
Crucially, the Met Office says our seasonality will change. And while London could see lulls of calm weather, there could also be a clustering of intense events, one after another.
So here we have
So, what can we do?
a number of rain gardens.
Maybe the answer is these. sustainable drainage systems known as SUDs, like here in Enfield.
Everything from green roofs, permeable paving, even things like water butts, through to wetlands that are artificially constructed, rain gardens, tree pits. So little pockets of constructed, semi-engineered green features.
SUDs of course cost money, they require regular maintenance, and some feel they take up valuable car parking space. But they can also have a host of additional benefits.
We've put so much hard surface into our towns and cities. We need to just nibble away at that. We don't need to reduce much of it, maybe about 3% of the highway area to get where we need to go. So we're not talking about a big percentage of what we've put down here, but it will make a big difference.
And it's not just these independent bodies calling for more to be done. Earlier this year, a report by the London Climate Resilience Review found London underprepared for the threats of climate change, including surface flooding.
We can never protect from every single rainfall event, but we can be far better prepared with the right kind of action.
SUDs were meant to be made compulsory in all new builds after 2010, but plans to make this law did not happen. Meanwhile, City Hall hopes to announce a designated surface water flooding strategy, but that won't be released until later this year. Jacob Evans, BBC London.
A brief look now at a couple of the day's other stories. A person has been taken to hospital in Watford after they were attacked by a German Shepherd dog on a canal near Croxley Green on Sunday. Another person who was also attacked didn't need to go to hospital. The animal was destroyed by firearms officers after attempts to contain it and find its owners were unsuccessful. And the US Embassy in London owes more than £14 million in unpaid congestion charge fees, according to Transport for London. Among all embassies, the total is more than £143 million since 2003. TfL says the majority of embassies do pay the charge. A minority refuse to pay, saying diplomats are exempt from tax. Next, with overcrowding in our prisons and high reoffending rates, the latest government figures suggest just 30% of all released prisoners are employed 6 months after getting out. Well, at Downview Women's Prison in Sutton, a project has been operating for the last 10 years to try to offer skills and qualifications to help ex-inmates with employment opportunities. We went to meet some of those taking part.
I worked in the main kitchen in the prison first for over 6 months, and then I applied with application to come and work in Clink's production kitchen.
The frustration for most people is that you're locked up, you're banged up, you have no useful gain in society. You feel quite worthless, and the more busy you are in prison, the quicker the time passes.
HMP Downview is a ladies' closed prison. We work in partnership with several companies here. London College of Fashion, Mark Spielman, which is part of the Timpson Group, and we also work with the Clink Events Kitchen.
I'm preparing a tomato sauce for the Great Escape event that's going out tomorrow. I gain a lot of skills here and also gain qualifications at the end of it. I've received my MVQ 1 and 2 in food preparation and cooking. I'm going on to level 3.
Every day is different. We've got jackets, skirts, the usual, or we could have an order in for laundry bags, or we could have an order in for bed sheets or curtains or something to do with the prisons.
From these workshops, what we're trying to develop is confidence within the individuals going in there. It's giving them the skills so they can progress. It's giving them the qualifications so that on release they're ready for the workplace.
Every day I'm learning something new, and hopefully when I'm on release, I'll be going back into work into this industry as well.
In here we can switch off and be creative, and are encouraged to be so by the team that are here.
What I get out of it is seeing the women's achievements. I like to know that once they are being released, that they are, they're equipped, they've got some understanding and skills to go out there and face society.
It's not being too soft on offenders. It's about giving them the confidence not to reoffend again. It makes them feel as if they're valued again.
You've got your level 1 and level 2 City and Guilds, and when I get out of here, it just gives you the criteria to get really good gainful employment. So we're all hoping for a really good job when we get out.
It makes me feel motivated, it challenges me, it pushes me out my boundaries where things that I wouldn't normally do, and it excites me to go further.
Some of the women at Downview, thanks to them for talking to us. Now, lovely to see the sunshine over the weekend and today, and many people head to local parks and green spaces, of course, to enjoy the outdoors, including here at Primrose Hill. Look at that view. Well, now the Royal Parks is taking more permanent action to prevent antisocial behaviour there. Well, to tell us more, we can join my colleague Lakshmi Gopal on Primrose Hill this evening, and what a lovely evening too.
Yes, Riz, soak up the view. There are few better places in the capital to enjoy such a city skyline than here at Primrose Hill. Not surprising then that Primrose Hill is chosen as a backdrop in Hollywood films like Bridget Jones 2, and is chosen as the go-to place on a day like today. When the weather's like this, people just want to come out here and soak up the sun and enjoy the view. And of course, it's a favourite on bonfire night and New Year's Eve because of the vantage point it offers. Now, you might remember the change that happened over COVID when, after concerns from residents around antisocial behaviour and crime, there were closures put in place on weekday nights, and there was temporary metal fencing blocking the entrance to the park. But that now is due to be replaced by permanent black fencing. But the Royal Parks have said that it won't mean the park is closed more often. With more detail, here's Tolu Adeoye.
For decades, Primrose Hill Park was free-flowing, allowing anyone and everyone to wander in and out whenever they pleased. But temporary fencing has been a fixture in recent years, allowing closures to try and control crime and antisocial behaviour.
The temporary fences were put in 2022.
Phil has lived in the area for 30 years.
During the pandemic, the lockdowns, the park was obviously heavily used, and quite rightly so. But unfortunately, as a result of that, some of the people that were using the park were using it for drug dealing, for all-night raves that were unmanaged, unlicensed.
The killing of 16-year-old Harry Pittman, who was fatally stabbed in the park on New Year's Eve, led to calls for improved security around the park. Now the temporary fencing is set to be permanent. A Royal Park statement said, "Instead of unsightly Harris fencing, which detracts from the Grade 2 listed landscape and is prone to damage, we will install gates which will be in keeping with the landscape and with other similar gates we have across our parks."
Park bosses say the permanent gates don't mean the park will be closed any more often. They're going to continue the current schedule, which is 24-hour weekday opening and then closures between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the weekends over the summer.
Royal Parks did consult the public on the plans.
I'm probably in favour of parks being shut at night. There's no good reason to be in a park at night, in my view. We've got teenage boys, so I'd rather it was a place that they wouldn't go to.
Well, if it's between 10 and 6, that's the time when everyone wants to have a beer and chill out, so, you know, it's going to kill the joy.
I think it's a good idea to put a big fence in to allow closures, because it means people won't be able to climb over at night and leave litter around and maybe do things they're not supposed to do, like drugs, etc.
The park could close on ad hoc days for operational need or for health and safety reasons due to extreme weather. Work will soon begin on the new gates. Tolu Adeoye, BBC London.
Football, and there was disappointment for Arsenal fans yesterday, but there is something to celebrate for some of our other football teams. Chelsea women are champions again, and celebrations are continuing in Crawley after Crawley Town's historic victory at their first ever visit to Wembley yesterday, securing a place in League One next season. Here's James Dunn.
Playoff champions, finally a chance to celebrate for a team that's made history at Wembley Stadium. Celebrations of this incredible achievement went long into the night, and they started well before the game had even begun.
We are so happy to be here.
Once in a lifetime, you've got to just go for it. Once in a lifetime.
Come on, Crawley!
Can you believe you're here? No, it's really emotional, to be honest. Long time watching this club, and to walk down Wembley Way, to watch my team, it's amazing. It's been with my son and my family. Yeah, it's incredible.
Undaunted by the occasion, Crawley dominated possession, but it wasn't until a few minutes before the break that some brilliant play from Liam Kelly created a chance for their most prolific striker. Fans have got to know the Danilo Orsi celebration pretty well this season, and this one was worth celebrating. In the second half, Crewe had a way back when the referee pointed to the spot. But there's VAR in the playoff final. When he went to the monitor, it was clearly and obviously a mistake. The penalty and a yellow card were overturned. And in the final minutes, a through ball found Liam Kelly. He took a chance and another. Now, they were just waiting for the whistle.
There's no better feeling than that, you know. Players have been just unreal. All season they've been class, and they were fantastic today.
It's such a cool feeling to be promoted after being favourites to be relegated, so yeah, special feeling.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Especially at Wembley as well. You can't ask for much more. I need one more. Honestly.
Oh, we were all in tears. Yeah, we know. I think it's because we know how much it means to him and how much him and the whole team deserve it. So we just couldn't believe it was happening, really.
It's surreal, to be honest. Yeah,
Living the wag life.
Yeah, finally. No, I mean he's done so well this season. I think he's finally getting that recognition that he deserves, and he's absolutely smashing it.
So many people came to the game today from my school. That have never watched Crawley before, so I think more people are starting to watch them, which is good because they're a good team.
It's not just about the football, the whole town comes together, so yes. We'll be dining out on this for a while yet.
With so much to celebrate, fans can finally put the trauma of last season behind them. This team that defied the odds to win promotion can now look forward to life in League One.
They certainly can. Congratulations to them. Now, as we've been hearing, it's that time of the year again when the Chelsea Flower Show is in full bloom and opening to the public tomorrow. Yes, there are spectacular gardens on display as usual, and some of them have taken inspiration from London's landmarks, as well as helping to highlight the work community groups do for others in our city, as Wendy Hurrell explains.
Besides being a spectacle of the most beautiful plants and some of the country's best landscape design, a garden at Chelsea Flower Show can help raise the profile of charities or community organisations in our city. This one highlights the work of a prominent church on Piccadilly, designed by the St Paul's Cathedral architect Sir Christopher Wren.
This is the St James's Piccadilly Garden, and first and foremost we wanted to really evoke the character and the atmosphere of the gardens at St James's. Quite an ambitious build. 11,000 bricks have gone into building this in just under 2 weeks to create the sort of context and the backdrop to the garden. And the public can stand behind the window and see into the garden. We can see out in the same way as at St James's. You know, the church is connected to its community through those clear glass windows.
The show garden is helping towards a £20 million restoration of St James's Church.
In the garden we have some of our pioneer plants that grew out of the aftermath of when the church was bombed in World War II, and that is speaking to our past, but it's also speaking to our future. How will we relate to a world that's changing before our very eyes? And what's the role of the church in that, in bringing people together, in talking about community across difference? We want to celebrate the diversity of the plants, but also the diversity of people.
After the show, the plants will be relocated to Piccadilly and their partner church, St Pancras Euston, creating pocket parks in otherwise hectic parts of London.
The whole purpose of us doing this really is to envision a different future. That's in fact the title of the garden, is Imagine the World to be Different. It invites people into a space to understand their world, understand who they are, allow people to be at peace with themselves.
For 4 decades, the church has offered a drop-in counselling service every day of the year. After Chelsea Flower Show, there will be this new cabin for those sessions.
Today's kind of my first chance to sit here and really be here, and you know, the idea that this will just be moved into the garden there is fantastic, and I think it's going to be a lovely space. It's got a kind of, you know, this round, almost holding, containing, as one of the people who dropped in said, it's like a big hug, so I quite like that, yeah.
drought-resistant trees, resilient wildflowers to improve biodiversity, and a calm, reflective space will mean St James's can continue to be a refuge at the heart of central London. Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
A visual treat, and the sun was shining for Chelsea. What about the rest of the week? Gorson is here to tell us. Oh, your facial expressions said it all.
I have to keep it under control. Yes, it was beautiful today, wasn't it? Plenty of sunshine. A change is on its way, I'm afraid, Riz. But it's not going to be a complete washout. But today, hardly a cloud in the sky out there. This was the picture captured by one of our weather watchers. Now, if you are heading to the show over the next few days, well, I'm afraid it is worth taking an umbrella because there is the chance of some showers, an increasing chance for tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. But it does become drier and more settled again to start the bank holiday weekend. But there will be some sunshine in between for some of us as well. But for this evening, there may be 1 or 2 showers after what's been a glorious day. And overnight tonight, we'll start to see more in the way of cloud developing. There'll be some mist, some low cloud in a few spots, and temperatures will dipping down to around 8 to 11 Celsius. So it means for tomorrow morning, a much cloudier start to the day. Now, it should be dry to start, but as we head through the day, we'll start to see some of these showers arriving in, coming in from the southeast. 1 or 2 of these may be quite heavy in places. And brightness will be quite limited tomorrow. There'll be some spells of brightness or sunshine breaking through the cloud at times, but largely cloudy, 1 or 2 heavy showers, and temperatures 16 to 19 Celsius. Now, today we reach the low 20s. Tomorrow and the next few days, it'll be the high teens. Now, still some showers around tomorrow evening as well. A couple heavy ones as well, maybe the odd rumble of thunder. But it does become drier again overnight tomorrow night, staying quite cloudy and mild. So overnight tomorrow, temperatures holding up at around 11 to 14 Celsius. Now, we do have low pressure nearby Wednesday. Now, this is going to bring some outbreaks of heavier rain to the north of the UK. And for us, it'll bring more of a breeze and some scattered showers for a time. So Wednesday will be quite unsettled with some showers. After initially a dry start, we'll start to see those showers arriving in at times, some sunny spells in between. And temperatures by the afternoon on Wednesday, well, reaching around the high teens again, 17 to 18 Celsius. So certainly becoming more unsettled over the next few days, but certainly drier for the start of the bank holiday weekend. And that's your forecast.
Oh, we've heard it here first. Of course, thank you. And that is it for now. More reaction and analysis, of course, on the day's top story, the findings of the infected blood scandal inquiry. That's on the BBC News app. And plenty of other London stories on our website too, including the firefighter running to every fire station in the capital for charity. That's more than 300 miles. Well, best of luck to him. And thanks to you for watching. Whatever you're doing, enjoy your Monday evening. Bye-bye.